Well, it is 8 o'clock. You've been telling your kids to get ready for bed since 7 o'clock, and they are not ready. They've completely ignored you, and you're starting to feel a little bit of tenseness in your chest, and you feel like your blood is about to boil over. And what do? You do what works. You yell. Now, we've all done it, or most of us have, anyways, and yelling is actually very effective. But yelling turns the heart of a kid off, and it turns the heart of teenagers off even more so. Because deep down inside, we know that you're not supposed to yell at people and that we're not supposed to be yelled at. And so, though it's effective, it ruins the relationship. It also comes with a host of other problems. Problem number one is that it creates its own self-defeating cycle. You yell at the kids, and what happens is when you yell at kids, it tends to, though it works in the short run, it tends to create more problems in the long run because it creates all kinds of tension in the kid, and kids don't handle tension very well, and a lot of times it just leads to more bad behavior. Second, it creates a whole host of negative emotions: anxiety, fear, resentment, shame, confusion, anger, hopelessness. Third, I find this one very interesting. It can inhibit brain development, especially with little kids. When you yell at them, it produces cortisol, and cortisol, excess cortisol, inhibits the way the right side of their amygdala develops. And I'm going to quote from two studies. We found that a heightened cortisol stress response may interfere with the structural development of the right amygdala, possibly via a neurotoxic pathway promoting cellular damage in the amygdala's structural development. Now, what are the implications of this? In practical terms, damage to the right amygdala due to cortisol-related toxicity may impair the child's ability to process emotional stimuli, regulate negative emotions, maintain appropriate behavioral inhibition, and manage stress effectively. Such damage can predispose a child to emotional and psychiatric disorders later in life. Finally, parents have negative consequences too: fear, regret, shame, and they're conditioning themselves to repeat it because every time you yell, you get a dopamine hit. And dopamine is morally neutral, but it just says, hey, I don't care what just happened, but whatever you did, do that again because I like dopamine. And you are now conditioning yourselves to yell at kids because your body is going to crave that dopamine. So, what do we do? Well, this is what we do. We have to stay calm. And CALM is an acronym. The first letter stands for actually the word calm. And we have got to calm down. And so you can breathe. I've seen people who talk about touching all your fingers while doing deep breathing, and that stuff can work. If those things don't work, you still have to get calm. And one of the things I recommend is you can just send your kids to their room, and then you can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes. But you cannot go into it when you are dysregulated and angry on the inside. You've got to get the emotional level down. Second is to assert expectations. And what I mean by assert, what I mean is to just make it very clear. Johnny, I need you to get into the tub right now. And I need you to be out of the tub in 15 minutes. And when you are, put your jammies on, brush your teeth, and then we're going to read stories. That's way better than saying this: Johnny, why can't you ever just get ready for bed when I ask you to? Right? That's not how we want to handle that. Third is you basically want to lower your voice. Simply lowering your voice takes your own emotions and it just drops that level a little bit. And second, especially like when teenagers are getting older and discussion gets heated, the voice, the tempo, everything starts to rise. And so when you catch yourself doing that, you've got to say, whoa, red flag, I am not going to do this. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to get lower in my volume and I'm going to get slower in my delivery. And finally, motivation. So we motivate our children, and we can do that in one of two ways. One doesn't have any consequences. It's basically just saying, hey, look, this needs to change. Susie, you've missed your curfew like 3 times here lately, and that absolutely has to stop. And if it doesn't, there's going to be consequences. Now, Susie doesn't learn her lesson, then consequences are going to come. So, Susie, we've talked about this multiple times, and you are going to be grounded for one day for every 5 minutes that you are late going forward. So, I want you home at 10:30. No excuses. Now, the key to this last part, when there are consequences, is you have got to follow through. If your kid is way late and they're going to be grounded for 11 days, they're not going to be happy with you. And you have to be big boy and big girl and just be able to suck it up and say, they're going to be mad at me, but this is good for them, and I am going to do it. And by the way, if that's hard for you when your kids are mad at you and it makes you not want to discipline them the way that they should be, I have something I want to give you. It's an ebook, and it will really help you if that's an area that you struggle with, and I'll put a link in it below. Now, if you blow it and you raise your voice and things get out of control and you wind up yelling, you're just going to have to own it. And you tell your kids, hey, what I did was not right. And it would sound like this. Hey, I am sorry for the way that I spoke to you. It was not appropriate. And there's no excuse for what I did. I am really sorry. I'm going to try not to do it again, and I hope that you'll forgive me. Now, I've got a whole video just on this topic. It's called How to Say I'm Sorry Like a Boss, and I'll link to it below. But basically, it walks you through exactly how you can apologize in a way that doesn't alienate your kids, and it actually grows. It makes the relationship stronger. So I would check that out if I were you, if you haven't seen it already. Well, I will see you guys next time around, and if it was helpful, like and subscribe.